And now we take the conversation to Uganda, where some schools have increased fees despite pleas from the government to maintain last term's fee structures. The schools, mostly private, say the increment will cater for the astronomical rise in food prices and other essential commodities.
A mini survey conducted by New Central at schools, both primary and secondary, open for third term, clearly indicated that some schools have increased fees and, of course, increased to between 30,000 shillings to as much as 100,000 shillings, while others have tactfully concealed the increment in the requirements category. This is a development that many parents are worried about, even as families struggle to stay afloat during and, of course, following the after effects of the COVID-19 induced lockdown, which left several breadwinners jobless.
Now joining us from Uganda this morning is Mayor Solomon Grace. He is Communications Officer and Handler, Education Sector, Government Citizen Interaction Center, Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us.
So much.
Thank you.
Good morning, viewers.
Good morning. There are about 18,000 private schools in Uganda, according to the National Private Education Institutions Association, NPERA. Now, tell us about this purported increase in fees and why some schools are considering that.
First of all, I want to thank you for hosting me this morning. I want to make it clear that the pandemic did not leave any other country the same as it used to be. First of all, let me first introduce myself again. I am Malay Solomon Grace. I'm not, it's not read as Mel, I'm Malay Solomon Grace. So I'm a communications officer with the Government Citizen Interaction Center in charge of the education sector. So as earlier stated that the pandemic did not leave any country the same like it used to be. The economics was destabilized, and forthcoming the Ukrainian war, where countries have to ship in a number of these materials, including school feeding materials like flour, the baking flour, have caused some institutions to also escalate their prices. Yeah, so, but actually schools are doing this illegally. Yeah, because to make it a fact, if there is need to increase school fees in an institution, then the school the heads are supposed to write to the permanent secretary of Ministry of Education, and that is through their boards. But this has not been done, and right now there is a directive that the technical department should summon every institution that has increased school fees for their students to give a substantive explanation to why they are doing this and not doing it in the right way. So that is the first position that government has taken. And this morning, the circulars have been written to these institutions, because government policy is that an environment is created for every child to have education that is accessible, to have a clear future of citizens. I submit.
Well, Malay, let's also, I want to understand better. You said the circulars have once again been sent out by the government. Are these schools going to be forced to stick with the rules in this circular, or is there some way around it that we might see play out?
First of all, they have to be accountable for their illegal action, because as earlier stated, that they are supposed to write to the Ministry of Education and Sports, and that is through the permanent secretary, requesting for this increment of school fees. And it is the ministry which is supposed to sit with their boards and give them I should call it parameters in which they should increase school fees. But you find someone has increased or has almost increased half of the tuition of the school fees. that is being so unfair to the parents and the students of this country, whereby we are trying to stabilize just out of the recent pandemic and the lockdown, with all the time we have lost during the pandemic. And now students are getting back to school for this term, again you're increasing. If you increased again last term, and again that term you're also increasing, what is your motive? Because we expect that an institution is supposed to submit their budgets for the year, but now you're keeping on increasing. This is a sign of indiscipline to some of these institutions. And second of it all, have you done it in the right way? You've not sought for permission to increase the school fees. Then why increasing?
All right.
I beg to submit.
Now let's talk about the cost of living. It's skyrocketed in the country ever since the start of the year, pushing various baskets of groceries beyond the affordability of thousands of households, with the lower income earners being the ones who are most affected. Where does this leave the average Ugandan?
Come again?
I said we've seen basically since the start of the year, there's been an increase in cost of living, and now they have to deal with the education, the affordability or the lack of being able to pay the new fees. Let's talk about the current economy in Uganda, where, what is the future for the average Ugandan with the increase in cost of prices and all?
Yeah, I should state it clearly that government intervention has have always been put in place. Recently, I think on 5th August, that is last month, the president had an address to the nation, and several meetings have been going on to see how best we can solve the issue of of some of these commodities that are being shipped. That includes improvising another product instead of wheat, and other interventions have been the talks between the heads of state. The president informed the country that he has been engaging the president of Russia and other stakeholders who can subsidize these prices on fuel, because anything skyrocketing at the moment. The nationals are saying the fuel. Yeah. So the president has gone ahead with the Minister of Finance and other stakeholder ministries to see that there is a subsidized cost from the people who are selling to Uganda some of these things, and also government also put a position that there should be some levies put aside on some commodities that are being imported to the country. And these commodities are some of the things that are running the institutions.
Absolutely.
Like I talked about wheat. So I know very soon this issue will be sorted, and the government is not just seated.
All right. Male, we do hope that this, just like you said, this issue is sorted. I would love to pursue this conversation further at a different time and date. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad.
All right.